Forget the BVMs, forget the PVMs. Today we're dealing with a CVM. This is the Panasonic BT-D1920Y. That's 19 inches of color video monitor goodness. And I even have the freaking manual for it. So as you can see, this display, pretty great. It's a nice 19 inches, and I've been playing a bunch of Nintendo 64 and PS1. Well, on my PS2, but PS1 games primarily, and it looks and performs great. Now, let me go ahead and flip over to the back of the monitor and go over some of the inputs. So at the top, we have the setup for composite. If we move over, there's RGB, and then there's also the sync section. If you want to take a look at the actual model number stuff right here, Panasonic Color Video Monitor, BT-1920Y, just like it says on the front. I don't know if you caught that manufacture date, but 1989 December. This thing is a little old. We have these options to be able to adjust the different things on the back at RGB. I don't know how to do that, if I need some sort of special tool or if I just stick a little screwdriver in there and start churning it or something. I don't know. If we want to go ahead and go down this, I do have some little adapters to be able to let me use just normal composite cables. And as you could see, there isn't really anything too special, except there's a tally remote. I have no idea what that is, but I will try to figure out what that could be. And then, of course, we have S video on the side. Well, let's go to the front. So at the front, we have where we can swap through our modes. We have line A, we have line B, VTR, RGB, and if we go ahead and push this, I'm like stuck on the furniture, hold on. You can see that we have some different settings to be able to swap through different color, AFC, filter, sync even, and then these different picture things. We can cut off different color, we do an A-B split, and then we have a ton of different dials for getting settings. Now, brightness and contrast are the important ones for how I'm doing this, because those are the only ones on the front that I can get a meaningful change while using RGB, which is primarily how I'm going to set this up. All these other ones that I'm going through right now and showing you are fantastic to tweak with if you use composite. Now, to be honest, I don't know a ton about the technical side of this, but I'll go ahead and go over some highlights from the manual. So the first page I want to look at is the specs. There's one stat I really want to see from this, and that is it has 525 lines per picture. And then if you want to see the input and output and some of the specs that go along with that, by all means, feel free to, look at that a little bit. I'm just kind of skimming over this. A lot of this data means nothing to me. Let's move on. Here's a nice little diagram of the back. So if I went over that in a very poor manner, now you can look at it and, a little bit of a better one. Same with the front. Now, this is really nice because this is actually going to go over the descriptions of these things, like the tally lamp and a ton of these settings, which I have merely flipped on and off and just saw if there was a difference or not. I mean, some of them are, pretty self-explanatory. A lot of the names kind of make sense, but they aren't really things that I have spent too much time going on. And I think that's pretty good for these pages. And then if we'll keep flipping, eventually we get to the service manual. I don't know how much I will use this, but maybe if I break it, I can find someone who would be able to look at this and that would help them out. I don't know. So in the service manual, there are disassembly instructions, which I think would probably be incredibly helpful. Maybe that would be something that I would go ahead and go through, and it'll tell me how to not die. And then look, this looks really good. There's a circuit board layout. And then you even get a little flip out diagram of the circuit board. And there's more of them here too. Like this one, interconnection schematic diagram. Now this thing looks crazy. I do not know how to decipher this at all, but it's pretty. Eventually we're getting to just pictures. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I do know replacement parts list. Availability on this, probably not very good, but if I ever do need to replace anything on here, at least I'll be fairly certain what it is. honestly, I don't really know what to show off, but if you want to see anything in this specifically, let me know. I'll make another video. Now, let me go ahead and speak to why I want this specific device. So before I picked this up, I actually had a more normal CRT TV, and then I've also had this CRT monitor for a while now. And you might be thinking, wow, this ViewSonic seems pretty nice. I mean, it even says professional series on it. Why don't you just use that all the time? And that's because the way that these two devices function is different. The monitor is a 31 kilohertz VGA monitor, and the Panasonic over here runs at 15 kilohertz. And the biggest takeaway from that, for me personally, is that means I can use light guns on the Panasonic. But I don't have the right cables for that right now anyway, so we'll talk about that some other time. Now, I don't really have any other technical aspects or anything like that, anything hardware that I want to show off with this. I kind of just want to talk about it for a minute, and then I'll round out the video. Now, you are looking at PS1 footage on the PS2 using RGB breakout cables hooked up into this, so this is running at, I would assume, 240p. Honestly, I haven't actually used any sort of device to go through and test these different resolutions and stuff, but that very well could be a cool video to do in the future. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people, well, this is also a good thing, but I feel like a lot of people's experience with devices like this is with like a Sony PVM or BVM, which is kind of the highlight I made at the beginning of this video. And the unfortunate thing about that is that I don't have a lot of experience with those to be able to cross-reference them and to be able to compare and contrast them with this device right here. But the fortunate thing is that this thing is different, and maybe it's cheaper in your area or easier to get or something like that. So if it is of a similar quality, which I have no reason to believe that it isn't from the testing that I've done, but again, I haven't tested extensively any of these Sony devices, then that could be really something interesting, especially since I have the manual I can go through and kind of look more in depth at some of these things. But I really think that I want to probably try to do some videos like I did with the ViewSonic. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but I've played through some various titles and kind of talked about the support that they have on PC. Now, obviously, I wouldn't really go too in depth with setting up things. It would be more of like a feature set or showing how they work on here kind of thing, as opposed to messing with Windows software, getting that set up on the ViewSonic. But I still think that there's quite a bit of things that I can take a look at on this. I mean, this device is really awesome to mess around with. Oh man, I forgot in this footage that I'm pretty sure I die here. I guess I'm healing. Maybe I don't. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Tomb Raider's not the easiest game to get into whenever you've been playing modern games. Please excuse my horrible skills. But anyway, like I was saying, I guess really to round it out, I just want to know if there's anything that you guys are interested in specifically seeing with this device. I mean, I tried to be pretty quick at the front, just blast you with a little bit of information and go over it briefly. Mostly just like, hey, here's this device, it exists, it's pretty cool. But if you have any specific things you want to see, that would be cool. I'll probably do a comparison. For one, I'll do a video most likely showing off composite and how it looks. I do have a video coming up talking about the N64 and how it uses composite versus RGB, because I have an RGB modded device, and talking about the pros and cons. And basically, it's like should you spend hundreds of dollars modding your Nintendo 64, or should you just play on composite, is the video. You know, you can speculate what you think the results of that will be. It may be obvious, it may not be obvious to you what I'm gonna go with. And I'm not even done with it yet. You know, I'm only halfway through, so maybe I don't even know the results. But I think that's an interesting topic, and I can dwell on some things like that in a follow-up to the Panasonic video, and kind of, you know, explore around that. But really, that's all I have to talk about. I'm done. This device is fantastic. I've been messing around with it for a while. I think I bought this, honestly, I think it's a few months ago now. I don't know. Everything's been such a blur since we've been, you know, locked inside and all this quarantine stuff going on. So please let me know if there's anything you want to see. I will gladly do my best to make whatever kind of videos exploring this, because I want to know it too, to be frank. Like, it's not just for you guys. Like, you don't have to be like, ah, man, I shouldn't ask it because he isn't going to have to do that. Like, no, it's fine, dude. I probably want to know too. So leave those comments if you got them. And until the next one, take care. Goodbye.